Welcome back to another video on the channel. Yesterday was day one of the Battle of the Brits event, which has been set up by Jamie Murray. I think the event's going fantastically well. It looks as safe as possible, which is paramount in this current situation. All the players seem to be enjoying it, and there's a couple of rule changes obviously that they're still getting used to, but on the whole I think day one was very successful, and we're going to have a fantastic week of watching British players. If you aren't familiar with the sort of format and you haven't watched any yet, then it is live on Amazon Prime from about 12:50 each day. Also follow the players on Instagram and the Battle of the Brits event Twitter page and Instagram, and you'll soon get up to speed and see the matches that are going to be played on each day. But I'm going to be looking back on yesterday and also giving a little bit of a preview on today's matches coming up. Unfortunately, one of Britain's most highly rated youngsters, Jack Draper, has had to pull out with an injury, which has offered a chance to Ryan Penniston to compete in singles. A lot of you might not know about Ryan Penniston. He's sort of a young British player that's coming through. He competed in the US college tennis and done extremely well last year. Started in the ITF events and done pretty well, started climbing the rankings. I think he's ranked around 300 in the world now. Climbed the rankings very quickly. A very good player to watch, young, quick around the court. He's a short guy, but he's got a lot of power from the back of the court, a lot of different variations, and he is a very talented player, and I'm looking forward to see Ryan play myself, and also looking forward for other people to see Ryan and learn more about him as a person and a player. But yeah, Jack Draper, I was looking forward to seeing him. I think he's someone that could potentially break into the top 100 in years to come and challenge for Grand Slam titles. So for the teenager to get injured when given the chance to compete against the top British players is unfortunate, but hopefully it's just not a long-term injury and he's back playing tennis very soon. But also on Ryan Penniston, if you don't know much about him, I did do an interview with Ryan a few weeks back, so if you want to learn more about him before you watch him play this afternoon, then check that video out. I will leave a link in the description. But looking back on yesterday, Andy Murray was back for the first time this year, I think, after more problems with his pelvis and his hip, and I thought he looked very good. He was playing, Liam Brodie, who is a low ranked player, but I thought Murray served well on the whole. He got used to the court as the match progressed, because players don't play indoor tennis very often now. Most of the tournaments are outdoors these days, but I think the courts are playing quite slow, and the bounces are maybe it's difficult at times, but I think Murray was always in control. He looked very good when you consider he's been off the court for the length of time that he has. He mentioned in the post-match interview that he served particularly well, and I saw that as well. I think he served very well, as I say, when you consider the time he's had off. And he did produce some tennis at times that reminded you of why Andy Murray is one of the greatest tennis players in this era. I don't know if anybody's seen the backhand pick-up that he done to beat Brodie at the net, but that just showed you why Andy Murray's been the best player in the world at times, and his class did shine through in the end. But Murray's he's one of the best players in the world on his day, and he would be a class above these sort of players a few years ago, but obviously with the problems that he's had, the lack of match practice, then I'm sure he'll have a hard test of winning the title. So moving on to Kyle Edmund against James Ward, and I was impressed by Kyle Edmund yesterday. Obviously he had a poor 2019, but he started 2020 exceptionally well, winning his second ATP title in New York. And to me, Edmund looked like he'd put a lot of muscle and weight on over lockdown. It looked like he'd been working extremely hard, and he was very consistent yesterday. His ground strokes at the back of the court were very, very good. He served very well, and he was always in control of, again, a player that is low ranked, a lot lower ranked than Kyle. But James Ward competed well. He just doesn't have that sort of special weapon that can really hurt a player. Kyle has obviously an exceptional backhand and forehand, real power, a very good first serve, and again he was always in control of that. But I think when you get further down the tournament and Evans competes against the likes of Murray and Edmund, we'll start to really find out who's at the peak, who's been working the hardest during this lockdown period. And finally, moving on to that man Dan Evans, the current British number one. Sorry, he's not quite at that level yet, but Evans has had a fantastic last 18 to 24 months. He's ranked inside the top 30 now. He's had some fantastic wins, obviously won back-to-back tournaments last year, Nottingham and Surbiton in England, and yeah, he's just having a fantastic time of things. And again, you can see he's been working extremely hard during lockdown. He sort of looked like he'd never been away. He's moving around the court. He had lots of different change-ups, different speeds. His backhand slice is fantastic and really toys with his opponents. And against an young, inexperienced player like Jay Clark, it was always going to prove to be the difference. And Clark's got very heavy ground strokes, but yesterday you could tell he hadn't been in the court for a long time. He sort of overhit the ball and never really found his rhythm. But it's a good experience for Jay Clark to be up against a difficult player like Dan Evans. Stylistically, I'm sure Clark will learn a lot from his experience this week and being around the top players. He is a player that has climbed the rankings, still only 20 years old, and again is one to keep an eye on. But yeah, Dan Evans played fantastically well, and I made him favourite to win the tournament before this started, and I still stand by that decision. I think he is the best British player at the moment. If you look at the form and consistencies, he's been winning titles, he's been beating top 20 players. And yeah, on hard courts, I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody to beat Dan this week. But I think if you're looking at the transformation of Edmund in lockdown and the form of Andy Murray yesterday, and if we know Murray can produce his best tennis, then he'll be incredibly difficult to stop. So I'm sure we're going to have some brilliant matches coming up. And looking ahead today, you've got Liam Brodie against James Ward, Cam Norrie against Ryan Peniston, and Andy Murray against Kyle Edmund, which is obviously the highlight match of the day. I'm looking forward to seeing Cam Norrie, who broke into the top 100. Obviously broke through in that 2015 Davis Cup win when come back from 2 sets down to beat Roberto Bautista Agut on clay, and a surface that he'd very rarely played on, which is one of the most incredible comebacks in tennis history still to this day. But Cam's a brilliant player. He got the Auckland Open final, and he had a very strong 2019, getting to the top 100 of the world, and I'm sure he's going to kick on this year. But this presents a sort of opportunity to see how well he is playing when he plays the likes of Edmund and the Murrays and the Evans. It's a real test for Cam Norrie and see where he is going in his career. And also Ryan Peniston, he's a player I've talked to and I know quite well, and I've watched a lot of his matches. But yeah, I just think it'd be interesting to see how he competes, because I think Peniston is a player that can climb the rankings quite quickly. As I say, he's a short guy, but he's very quick around the court. He has a lot of different weapons, and he's very powerful for his size. A very good first serve, and yeah, I think that Ryan Peniston and Cam Norrie match could be a very, very good one. A very entertaining watch. They both got very good styles. And Andy Murray against Kyle Edmund. It's always difficult to weigh up these sort of matches now, because you don't know how fit Murray is. He looked great yesterday, but it was a player, as I say, that was ranked a lot lower than Andy and is not Andy's level. But today in Kyle Edmund, he's playing a player that's won titles this year. Kyle Edmund's a top 20, top 30 player, and a player that looks like he's worked very hard during lockdown. So I think you do have to make Kyle favourite going into the match, just for the pure fact that Andy's hasn't played for a long time, and he hasn't got that sort of match practice or recent experience of winning titles like Kyle has. So I think you have to put Kyle favourite going into this match, but it will be probably match of the day, and it's the last match on court. I think it's scheduled for around 5 or 6 o'clock, so make sure you tune into that one. But yeah, I hope everybody's enjoying the tournament as much as I am. It's fantastic to see tennis back in Britain, and also I think fantastic to see Andy Murray back, because I think a lot of British tennis fans, and probably Andy himself, worried at one stage that would he ever get back on court, and just to see him back on court smiling and enjoying his tennis and playing fantastic tennis again is a brilliant sight for all British tennis fans. And he's been a fantastic flag bearer for British tennis, and the longer Andy can stick about and compete and hopefully win more titles down the line, then the better it's going to be for British tennis, and the more young players he's going to inspire to pick up a racket and continue that dream of becoming a professional tennis player. But I'll be back tomorrow reviewing today's matches and also talking about tomorrow's matches. But yeah, I hope everybody's enjoying the tournament, and I will see you on the next video.